Hello, hello. I thought I'd get on here and talk about the boomers and podcasting and Independence Day. Wait until a few people show up. Haven't I spilled beer? Whatever. Hey, JBMX, BJD, you people. Hello, hello. Hey, Briggs. Yeah, we talk about boomers and podcasting and Independence Day. Hey, thank you, babe. Thank you. You're my best child today.
Your eldest one is church, though.
You're still the best one today. If anybody asks, you're tip top today. Something to listen to while you do the TPS reports. Don't do TPS reports. It's Sunday. You know, there are 10 commandments. There aren't just the ones about adultery, murder, and theft. There's also the one about the Sabbath. I do not smoke cigars. I only smoke pipe. I've never been able to figure out how to smoke a cigar cool enough that it doesn't taste like ash and lye and so on. So, I was listening to the radio yesterday. Sirius XM. And Jerry Lee Lewis's song, Middle Aged Crazy, came on. Do you guys know Middle Aged Crazy? Let me see if I can look up the lyrics. This was very interesting to me. I hadn't heard that song in a long time. It's always raining in Florida, even when it's not raining. Yeah, let's see if we can find the lyrics to Middle Aged Crazy. Here we go. Today he traded in his 98 Oldsmobile. He got a heck of a deal on a new Porsche car. And he goes on and says, don't look for the gray in his hair because he ain't got any. He's got a young thing beside him that just melts in his hand. He's middle-aged crazy, trying to prove he still can. And it made me realize that the whole midlife crisis thing, it doesn't really exist anymore. I'm 46 now, and I don't really know anybody that's had one of those so-called midlife crises. Do you? I think that was strictly a boomer phenomenon. I think that, we can probably point to somebody. Maybe you can point to somebody in your acquaintance in the last 5 to 8 years or something that's exhibited that sort of midlife crisis behavior. But that's pretty much gone. Evan, will you pull that door down over there? Everybody's griping about it. That's the ice cream maker you hear. My best child is going to close that door. Yeah, that midlife crisis thing just doesn't really happen anymore. I think that was strictly a boomer phenomenon, and that made me think about more things. Yeah, we'll step on that pedal over there. Like, stand on it. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. I mean, that's made me think of all of the things that those boomers put forth as ideas that just don't hold anymore. Bob's Burgers. Bob says, all my Zoomer friends have quarter life crises. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, what does that look like? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And I won't even deny it. Maybe they do. But the whole midlife crisis was much more destructive, I suspect, than a quarter life crisis. Midlife crisis means in the middle of your life, when you have a great number of responsibilities, children, wife, and so on, you throw it all over and try to relive some youth. Lots of divorce in the 80s and 90s as a result of this. These boomers just shirked their duty and pursued evil more than any other generation ever before, I think. And they put forth a whole lot of ideas that have just become common that we need to realize, I think, that they are boomer ideas, and we need to reject them. And one of those is that the midlife crisis exists. It doesn't really exist. That's a boomer fiction. That's an impulse that boomers had because they're fearful of aging, and it's gone now, I think. Bob's Burgers, I would like to hear more or read more or have you say more about these quarter life crises. Yeah, Reba's song about looking for life outside her family. Yeah, encapsulates that idea. Yeah, I've read about that on the Music and Ideas show. Is There Life Out There, I think is the name of the song. Bob's Burger says that the quarter life crisis, they refuse to get married and have children. They panic because they hate looking forward to 40 years as a computer programmer. They realize after college that they've signed up to be a zoo animal. Well, maybe that's appropriate, right? You get out of college and you get a couple years under your belt and you realize that everything that you were told is a lie and that you aren't in you realize you're not in the situation that you thought you were in, and maybe it's time to reevaluate at that point. Matt Rogers says, what is midlife crisis? The midlife crisis was, it was real common to talk about people having a midlife crisis in the 80s and the 90s. It was typically dudes, but it also became women. Here, I'll just read the Wikipedia page. The phenomenon is described as a psychological crisis brought about by the events that highlight a person's growing age, inevitable mortality, and the possible lack of accomplishments in life. But what tended to happen was guys in particular would get divorced, buy a sports car, dye their hair, date a 23-year-old, and shirk all their responsibilities and not act in a way appropriate to their age. You should probably face your mortality start to face your mortality and realize how old you are and how close death is at some point. There's nothing wrong with that, but the midlife crisis that the boomers experienced, they responded to it by divorcing their first wife, leaving their family and their kids, and being an asshole. Neats or the Zoomer quarter life crisis, yeah. The boomerminess must be stopped. Well, the day of the pillow is coming, and it will stop itself. So that much is good. But there's a lot of boomer ideas that are out there that just aren't true, and nobody had ever really embraced those ideas. Happy 4th to you too, CMA. There are a lot of boomer ideas out there that we have, us younger people have lived with our whole lives, and we need to understand that they're not true and they're not real, and nobody prior to them had embraced those. Yeah, not in education, employment, or training. Yeah. Here are some of those ideas. Here's one. America is an idea. It's not an idea. It's not an idea. Here's one. Travel is good, categorically. It's not categorically good. Buy the biggest house you can afford. That's a boomer myth that they've spread around in I don't really hear that one as much as I used to, but that used to be gospel in personal finance systems. Here's one. The healthcare system works. It doesn't work. Healthcare hasn't solved anything since they invented antibiotics. Um, they don't cure anything, and life expectancies are not going up. Sorry. Yeah, Charlie Kirk, be like America is an idea. Charlie Kirk is a monster. Here's a boomer idea. Oh, I'm spiritual, not religious. How's that? They say that while they're at the lake. Nobody said that before 1962. It's ridiculous. Here's another boomer idea, that you should spoil the grandkids. Nobody's done that. Everyone's loved and cherished and doted on their grandchildren before, but the idea that you spoil them, what? Well, O.T. Davies says, don't trust anyone over 30. Well, they don't say that anymore. When they hit 31, they quit saying that. Here's a boomer idea that never existed before. It is disgusting. That adults listen exclusively to the music of their childhood and don't graduate to classical music or jazz or more important music. That's new. That's ridiculous. Here's another one. That youth culture should be taken seriously and allowed into the mainstream. Here's another boomer idea. I've been making lists of these. Parents being happy is best for kids. Well, your mother and I, we're unhappy, and we know that if we get divorced, that we'll be much happier, and that'll be better for the kids. Kids don't care if your fucking parents are happy. They care that they're both there and have a united front and are able to parent the kids. I could go on. But I hope as these boomers lose their grip on power, that their stupid ideas lose their grip on us, and we realize that they're new ideas and that they haven't worked. CMA says the boomer generation grew up during the hippie age, right? All kind of makes sense after that. Yeah, the boomers are supposedly were born between like 46 and 65. Between 1946 and 1965. My mom and dad were born in 46 and 47, but being from Oklahoma and from poverty, they don't have a lot of those boomer attitudes. Although they do think the medical system works, and they have that sort of faith in progress and technology that people that saw the space race tend to have, but they don't carry a bunch of that other silly cultural stuff. Here's a boomer idea that's stupid: that sports are consumed and not played. Right? Huh?
What does that mean?
Evan, my daughter says, what does that mean? Oh, that you watch pro football, you don't play football. You become a sports fan by watching the sport, not by doing it. That's crazy. Nobody's ever done that before.
No one watches the sport. It's like, oh, that's fun.
That's a crazy idea. Like there were a few sports like horse racing that was a spectator sport, but almost always up before 1930 and certainly 1965, sports were things that you did. But the boomers, boy, they embraced the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, the Major League Baseball, all that stuff. It's crazy. Here's a boomer lie: that the Middle East matters. Who cares? Who cares about the Middle East? I have no idea why. Somebody on the mentions here is going to tell me because of oil or the Suez Canal. Fuck it, I don't care. Middle East doesn't matter to me. Shouldn't matter to us. Shouldn't influence our foreign policy. That's strictly a boomer idea. Now they got it from the Greatest Generation, like people like Kissinger and prior to that. But Yeah, there's no reason why we care about the Middle East. It's pure insanity. SEMA says Israel's influence in government. How could they possibly have that influence if it wasn't for boomers? Because nobody cares about the Middle East except for like Donald Rumsfeld, who's gladly gone. Oh, here's a boomer lie. That working for some asshole was more fun than taking care of your own kids. There's a boomer lie. Hopefully we're figuring these things out. And hopefully those ideas will die in the next, I don't know, 60 days or so. And we won't have to deal with that stuff anymore. Give me some more boomer lies. I feel a blog post coming on out of this. Give me some more boomer lies. Pound them out here while I go make, well, here, you can watch. Let's go make another tomato beer, because that one went down so good. Let's have another tomato beer. Hello, Caitlin. What are my thoughts on Gen Z, the Zoomers? Well, I'm Generation Z. No, I'm not. I'm Generation X. And I don't really know. The Generation Z and the Zoomers are probably the most lied to and misled people in the history of the world. My kids are Zoomers. Ain't that right, Evan?
Sadly.
My kids are Zoomers. But they're more conservative. The Zoomers seem to be more conservative than any generation in decades and decades. Generation Z and Generation X seem to get along pretty good. There's a meme out there with a Generation Z and Generation X sharing a drink while the millennials and the boomers are trying to kill each other. Seems accurate. But Z's gonna be okay. I don't know about the millennials. Z's gonna be okay though. What do you think, Evan?
The millennials are the hipsters, and then the like early 2000 emos. So it's already a pretty bad start for them.
It's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
You know who's a hipster? Nicholas Loper.
No names.
He's
Yeah. Zoomers are. I know that a lot of them are very, very liberal, but I also have some Zoomer acquaintances that are so right wing that it's pretty astounding. They're going to be okay. Boomer lie, diversity and inclusion are paramount. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Globalism works. Yeah. Another boomer lie, drug use is okay. The Royal Chaz says, my generation are the emos and hipsters. Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. They like cry themselves to sleep every day.
They're also the scene kids. You know what those are?
Mm-hmm.
They're bad.
Scene kids, she says. Reject modernity. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of them out there. You know, I don't know what Evan wants to do, but my oldest one is like an anarcho-primitivist. I don't know if Evan's quite that far yet. Are you?
No.
How far right are you?
Not actually. Not as far as Riley, but I'm getting there slowly.
You're getting there? The what kids? Scene kids. SCENE. O.T. Davies says that's a direct cause of boomer parenting. Latchkey kids and divorced parents. Yeah. Latchkey kids. Being raised by television. Somebody says, CMA says, my grandfather's sister, so that's your great aunt, just married a 20-year-old from Africa. His response was, give him a fair shake, boomer mode, maxed out. There should be your grandfather's sister. That's your aunt? How old is your aunt? How old is your aunt? We've got to hear more about this. How's that ice cream maker sounding?
I can't hear it.
You might stick your head around the corner. See if it's slowing down. She's in her late 60s. She'll be lucky if she doesn't end up dead. And we'll be lucky if she does. So, I'm sorry about that. You call him Uncle Ndege?
Let's slow down a bit on
The ice cream maker's slowing down, Evan says. Ice cream maker's slowing down. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm sorry about that. And your grandfather says, give him a fair shake. If my sister, who is 43, married a 20-year-old from anywhere, I would probably slap the taste out of her mouth. Think he'll take a vacation when he comes to town. I'd rather not sleep with one eye open. Yeah, don't be around him. He'll steal all the shit out of your house. Like, 20-year-olds aren't into 61-year-old women. His motivations are not pure. Give me some more of these boomer lies. Give me some more of these boomer lies. Here's one. That you can fix things with the government. With it, you know, that you can fix them with this government in particular. I think libertarianism's a boomer lie. Technology is neutral, yeah, or good even. How about that, Matt? Like technology is good. They assert that. The Beatles are the best rock band. That rock is good. Yeah, the public school is better at educating your children. Nobody gets more irritated at homeschooling than boomers. Nobody gets more irritated about homeschooling than boomers. But, you know, that therapy is good. Yeah. Do we cover the boomer lie of paying for college while in college? No. Well, we didn't, but yeah, I don't know if they still believe that. Yeah, we just need to vote harder, write a letter to the editor, write your congressman, all that stuff. Yeah, they're unbelievable, and they're still, you know, you got a boomer president. It's crazy. Evan's grinning over here.
He's a puppet.
Can I explain why rock isn't good? Who cares? It's just, I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but it's not the greatest music ever. It's just a nothing. It's like saying that Twinkies are the best pastry ever. It's just, you know, I enjoy eating a Twinkie every now and then, but it's not the finest ever. And there's a time when we should probably grow out of it. You can enjoy it occasionally, but we don't live on a diet of it. But every city in the country has probably more than one classic rock radio station, because the boomers have listened to that stuff from the day it was on the top 40. They made their kids listen to it, and they just want, and nobody's let go of it. You know, I love country music, but I know it's not the finest thing that ever existed, and I don't worship at its feet. quantitative easing is good, right? The government can stimulate the economy. Well, it can for a little while, can't it? Can for just a little while. We got to. Oh, wait a minute. 1967. Daniel Frog, 1967. That may be a Generation X. Perhaps. The city council does anything. Man, I'll tell you, they seem to. They don't do anything good. City council doesn't do anything good. Yeah, that. How about this? Love is a virtue. It's not a virtue. Y'all can just chew on that. Somebody's gonna say explain myself. I'm not. I'll explain it. I don't know, in a month. Yeah, public education is fine. Oh my God, we just ended up. We just finished Pride Month, and that was. There were probably posters and displays in the library at your local public elementary school. Yeah, going to a city council meeting makes you a good citizen. Zach says, been listening to Justin Johnson blues guitar for the last few days. It ain't Beethoven, but it's all right. Yeah, that's fine. You know, it's all right. I like all kinds of stuff, but you know, the boomers are, you know, carrying on like, you know, the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the music of the 60s is the greatest music that ever existed, and their music was the finest ever. It's just ridiculous. O.T. Davies says, I think the biggest boomer trait that bothers me is their cartoonish understanding of World War II history. In fact, of all history. Of all history. And maybe that's not their fault. You know, they went to school in public schools. A lot of their parents were traumatized by the Great Depression and World War II. You know, as much as I dislike the boomers and as irritated as I get with the boomers, they didn't come out of a vacuum. You know, this idea that the greatest generation is the greatest generation, knowing that their children are the boomers, is a problem. That they made identity politics law. You know, the greatest generation made identity politics law in the mid-'60s. They, you know, it was not boomers that were passed that made the decision on Roe v. Wade. That was not boomers. That was the greatest generation. They aren't the ones that opened the borders completely in 1965. They aren't the ones that had continued to keep the borders open since 1965. They're culpable for it now, but you know, a lot of these changes fall at the feet of that so-called greatest generation. Yeah. Yes. And it's going to take 100 years or 2 or 3 or 400 years before we can kind of sort this out and figure out what the fuck happened. I continue, O.T. Davies, to try to sort out World War II. It seems to me like my problems with World War II started a few years ago when I realized that Churchill wanted to declare war on Germany because they took Poland. And then at Yalta, Churchill gladly gave Poland to the Soviet Union. That's not okay, and if his motives were what everybody says they are, then those actions don't make sense. So something's wrong, and the story I was told about it isn't right. And well, it's not right. Churchill, who I have admired for a lot of my life, I have come to no longer admire. Boomer lie, Ronald Reagan is a conservative hero and icon. I'll tell you what, he was a breath of fresh air after Carter. That's for sure. And the weird Gerald Ford interregnum, he was a delight after that. But yeah, he's not conservative. Not conservative. There's never been such a thing as conservatives, guys. But since Nuremberg, you can't. It's not cool to say that you're right wing. So, you can't. It's basically illegal to be on the right. So we have to play like we're conservative and use these stupid words, and it's crazy. Boomer lie. You should watch the Daily News. Right. A retirement home is the reward for a good life. Well, like Vox Day says, they can go to the retirement home, and then the lady that cares for them in their waning years, who came into the United States based on the boomers' open border policy, will snuff them out with a pillow. Because, as Vox says, the day of the pillow is coming.
I'm gonna let you die like Lemmy.
Huh?
I'm gonna let you die like Lemmy, just playing video games with his grandkids.
Oh, that would be good. Like Lemmy did, yeah. Uh-oh. The retirement home. Yeah, the whole idea of retirement is kind of weird. It was real time. It was weird. First time, short time, good content. Thanks. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm tired of it. I think a lot of people are. And hopefully the boomer charade's almost over. Nutty. Do you think that thing's slowing down, Evan?
Probably.
Sounds pretty good. What am I supposed to call it? He says, I've considered myself conservative, but after listening to you, I agree that it's just not a thing. It's not a thing. Just go ahead and say it. Say you're on the right. You're a man of the right. You're a man of the right wing. You can say that you're a traditionalist, maybe. You can say you reject modernity and embrace the traditional, something like that. Conservatism doesn't exist, and it's a fiction. It's just a fiction. It's bullshit. JBMX says, what tobacco is in my pipe? This is Peterson's Irish whiskey in there. Do what? Oh, yeah. Bob's Burger says, Christian nationalist. Can you say that? Absolutely, you can say that. You might lose your job, but that's all right. You're going to lose your job anyway. Guys, everybody needs to go ahead and get canceled, because you're going to get canceled. But once you're canceled, you're free. It works in what works in. Somebody says it works in Canada anyways. I fear the day of the rake. I don't know what that means. What do you think, Evan? Does it look good?
It's done.
Well, if you want to, pull it out of there and pull the beater out and put it all in the freezer, huh?
It's too full.
Traditionalist, as Zach says. That'll work. I like to have my nomenclature. Yeah, traditionalist. That'll be fine. Well, unplug it. You can just carry the whole thing over here.
The sides are covered in ice cream, so you pick it up and it slides back out of your hands.
Looks good. Put it on the ground. You don't want to have to pick that thing up over your head. conservatism's never existed. I'm glad that I've convinced Zach at least to quit saying he's conservative. That good. I can rest easy now. Go to my great reward. You gonna put that in a bucket and make another batch?
It's coated in ice cream. You pick it up and it just slides down.
Well, we're gonna have to do something with it.
I know. Hard to pick up.
Yeah, today is Independence Day, and we went to the Elks Lodge last night and ate and had a drink and with friends and family and watched the fireworks at the Elks Lodge. And
I don't know how to get this up.
just pick it up, babe.
We tried.
And
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
it was upsetting for me because all this sort of patriotism and jingoism, they're celebrating a thing that doesn't really exist anymore, and it bothers me. It bothers me. It upsets me. Boss Burger says, I read Bronze-Age Mindset. He recommends getting military training through the National Guard, getting government jobs, but both seem like setting yourself up as a target for the left. Well, Bob's Burgers, yes, but if you read that, he's not telling you to have a career in it. He's just telling you to go get the training. So if you go get the training and then you end up, losing your job, you don't care because you just went to go get you just went for the training. You're a target for the left anyway. If you're not on the left, you're a target for the left. And by the way, if you're on the left, you're still a target for the left. Go ask Daniel Dennett and Richard Dawkins. Isn't traditionalism natural? Yes. Everything else yields bad results? Yes. Traditionalism will yield bad results from time to time too, but that's okay. We know what those bad results are, and our culture has given us ways to deal with those. Like, some of those ways could be shotgun marriage. Anything. One of those plastic Rubbermaids right there. Yeah, you just put it in there, ladle it in there. Here, Mr. Kopp. I drink my tomato beer with my pinky out. CMA said, just read How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler. What are your general thoughts on the book? It shows me how much I missed in grade school. Everyone should have to read that book when they are in the 8th or 9th grade, or that age. So if you're a homeschool kid, doesn't matter. I think that's a more important book than people normally think it is. His pedagogy and his epistemology in there are really important. Like his theory on how people learn and how knowledge is formed is really, really important. His idea about aided discovery and the idea that people and these are my words, and that people aren't taught, they only learn, I think is very important. And if you're a leader of people, I think reading that and understanding those kinds of things can be really useful to you as you try to educate or train people around you, whether that's your kids or employees. People usually define conservative by Burke. Do you have a criticism of him, or just saying no one has honestly wielded his mindset? Well, they don't normally define, to some degree people define conservatism based on the ideas of Edmund Burke, but here in the United States, they really talk about Russell Kirk a lot, but he's still a progressive. He's still a progressive. He allows for change. He allows for change, but he is a man of the right, and he has more principle, and he has more principle than Russell Kirk does or American conservatives do. The conservatives of the U.S. since World War I, since the Civil War, have really been subverted by the American pragmatist school of thought and the American progressive. And, most Americans are pragmatists and progressive, even the ones on the right. And as a result, they get subverted. And while the ideas of Burke are good, and he has more of an ideology than an American conservative does, it's just not enough. Like the people of the right, well, the idea of conservatism is just wrong. The conservatism just says we're going to stay here, and it doesn't have an ideology. It can't tell you why. And Burke tries to tell you why. He tries to tell you that the dangers in reform are unknown and are probably worse than the problems that you're dealing with, and that the culture has found ways to deal with the current problems but has not developed ways to deal with any new problems that come from change and revolution. I understand all that, but he also was a friend of the American Revolution, and that's not exactly a conservative stance or even a right-wing stance. So there are problems with Burke, and so the idea of conserving just isn't right. And at this point, there's nothing left to conserve. And in fact, for Burke, there was nothing left to conserve either. Henry VIII destroyed merry old England, and Burke was talking about. Burke was essential. It was essentially like somebody writing that about conserving American views in 2021. Like, what does that mean? Zach says, you can rest well because people like you, Carl, Brett McKay. Well, thank you. He's reading books, Barb listening to Beethoven, barbell training. That's nice. Thank you. I'm not training very well. I'm not very strong right now. Burke argued for monarchy. They hijacked that book. Yeah, I agree with that. O.T. Davies has said, reading How to Read a Book with OGB is probably the most rewarding workshop I've ever done. Well, good. Roger Scruton is right about the preservation of culture. I think that's right. Roger Scruton is good. How is unrestricted warfare going? Bob's Burgers asked. The references to man and tactics surprised me in the first chapter. It's good. We recorded the show on that Thursday, and that show will come out a week from this Thursday. That is a concerning book. Glad we read it. Are you going to make another batch?
Why was I close? Can you get that?
I certainly can. Maybe I can. Is it not on there correctly? I have not read Clausewitz. I have not read him.
Where?
I don't know. That was hard.
Do you think that's enough ice cream?
It's enough for today. But you have ice and salt in there, so it wouldn't be hard to make another batch. What do you think?
I don't know. You want me to make another batch of ice cream?
Well, I haven't read Clausewitz. Burke is important to me, but at this point, there's nothing to conserve. We need an ideologically founded right-wing movement. Yeah. If you guys don't drink tomato beer, you're missing out. What else, everybody? We started out by deucing on the boomers and moved on to the conservatives. We've stayed off of the libertarians today. Zach says, I've been enjoying the 2-week split format for the podcast. Not sure if cutting the shows into 1-hour segments the last 2 weeks takes some load off. But you've been enjoying it. Well, glad you're enjoying it. It does take a load off us because now the reading schedule is half as heavy. It has taken a load off.
I didn't know
We recorded a Music and Ideas podcast on Outlaw Country Thursday it was 3 hours and 20 minutes of raw audio. We'll see how that goes. Should Biden take a cognitive test or does it matter? It doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Are the Freemasons converged? Every single hierarchical organization in the United States is converged. Every single one of them.
We have ice cream. I was fine. For the
We can't
teenagers.
just have ice cream for dinner.
No, to distract them. The teenagers.
Yeah, every single hierarchical organization in the United States is converged. Like there's nothing left to conserve, guys. It's all converged. You marvel at the rate we can. Well, it's not good. Not your grandpa or great grandpa's fraternity. No, it's not the same as it was. No, it's converged. Everything is. You know, I have an older mentor who I admire very, very much, who's always gone to a very, very hardline fundamentalist Protestant church, and I've been talking to him lately, and his church is converged, and he doesn't really even know it. He's been in it so long, they kind of boiled his frog, you know, and he doesn't really even know it. You gonna make another batch?
No, I'm putting milk in it before.
You little turd.
Yes, I am. But all the measuring cups are dirty.
What is the IG Live outlet to me compared to other outlets? Gripes, musings. I continue to lose followers. They've never let me get over 3,000 followers here. I was posting frequently on Instagram, and I'm on. At the time, this was a little over a year ago. At the time, I was on 3 podcasts, a couple of which are big, and I could never get more than 3,000 followers. If I post an Instagram live like this one, I'll lose followers. I don't believe that my followers are shocked by anything I say. I don't think that I'm turning off the people that I have following me. They're just unsubscribing people from my feeds. I have noticed that they are subscribing me to people who I did not follow. So they're definitely tampering with people's follower counts and their following lists. The format works. I mean, the technology is simple and it works. That's all I care about. But I was using DLive for a little while. I haven't looked in a long time. I had about 100 followers on DLive, and I would do a DLive, and there'd be 60 of them there. I never get more than about 20 people to follow one of these lives here. Instagram is not promoting me. I don't really care. I don't really care about that. Any song recommendations for summer playlist? No, I don't know what that means. Here, let's let the people see. P38 can opener. That notch goes so that lip. That notch grabs that lip, and then you put the hook up against the inside of that and push it down, and then just work your way around. Like as such.
I just think that's the same for the grandma's food.
When?
We need
And maybe,
to Emma's mom.
Oh, okay.
maybe the base to dinner.
We need
There
a
you go,
can
Eddie.
opener. Our old one.
I threw it away, Trudy.
The old one.
Why does YouTube have a strong undercurrent for the alt-right? So many videos on Paul Miller, reject modernity, Rollo Tomasi, etc. I don't know that that's true. I mean, YouTube is fake and gay. I don't know what you're talking about. Zach says, yes, they've been adding assholes to my following list. I have to go through it once a month to thin it out. Yes. Crazy. WTP Extra says, I had 1,500 followers at one time. Now I have just over 350 now. Yeah. Yeah, I keep losing followers. It doesn't matter. They're eventually probably going to just ban me, or maybe not ban me, but you won't be able to see anything I do here. So just go to scotthambrick.com, subscribe to the RSS feed. You'll get my podcast, any blogs I do there, and follow me there. Yeah, Instagram's stupid. It's another, Zucker-faced organ. And the boomers won't protect us from antitrust at all. They don't care. They read all that shit about the robber barons when they were in school, and Standard Oil and Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan, and but now we're supposed to just worship all of these guys like Musk and Bezos and Zuckerberg. It's ridiculous. DLive bans far right individuals too. Long-term best bet is your own site. Yeah, everything's fake and manipulated. We're sunk on this stuff, guys. We've already lost. Us Generation X people lost before we got to fight, because the boomers have been in political power since early, mid 80s, and they still are in power. And they lost everything for us. But like Trump, Trump didn't do anything about Twitter. He didn't do anything about Facebook. He didn't do anything about quantitative easing. He didn't do anything about the lockdowns. And now I hear people that are supposedly conservatives, blaming all this on Biden. Trump started it. These boomers that are supposedly of the conservative ilk have done nothing to help us. Nothing to help us. So as a result, this shit's unregulated. It's great. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. It's coming. You're opening it. It's looking all right.
Rough start.
It's all right. It's already 5 o'clock on Independence Day. What a joke. What else, all? If you guys don't have anything else, I'll get off here and go do something. O.T. Davies says, Trail Life looks like a great alternative for the hyper-converged Boy Scouts. Yeah, maybe for a while. They'll converge it, too. Almost nobody has the resolve to maintain the culture inside of an organization. I've thrown a few people out of online great books. We can't have that cancer. And I've tossed some people out. I threw a lady out this weekend. I'm sure she doesn't understand why. I gave her no explanation, and I don't need to. But she was a Karen and wanted to tell me how to run stuff, and I gave her her money back and locked her out of the program. We got to be hyper vigilant about that stuff, and almost nobody's disagreeable enough to do it. Converged equals progressive? ? Never heard that term in this context before. Cam T. Thompson says, or asks, or says. Organizations who are essentially taken over by leftists such that their purpose converges with their political aims are what we would call converged. So the Boy Scouts of America are converged with the anal interest groups, for example. Oh, Bob's Burger says, yeah, I saw you say this a while ago. I recently bought eBay collections of vintage Raymond Chandler James Bond novels. Do you have any recommendations for book series before they're canceled? Yeah, probably go buy all of the Louis L'Amour books. Go buy all of those Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, Dashiell, the Mickey Spillane books. Probably all the Hardy Boys books, the W.E.B. Griffin books. Yeah. Trump and today's conservatives are more dangerous than the liberals because they dupe people into thinking they're different. It's the right fang of the same snake. Yes, I agree. Karens don't exactly contribute to the seminar experience typically. No, they don't. They don't. You know, these people that are constantly reminding us of that we need to be temperate in our opinion, or
I tried.
pull it from the other end, Debbie. People that are reminding us that we need to be reasonable, whatever. They're just policing our behavior, and they're trying to make sure that we don't say things that are out of the acceptable realm of speech, and they need to go. You know.
Why is it not working?
You missed the Deline books. Can you repeat their name again? W.E.B. Griffin? Those books? W.E.B. Griffin? Maybe? It's bonkers that people still go to Trump rallies. I can't tell if people are blind or in denial. Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's not going to win. Elections aren't real. It's not going to win. You can't have a right-wing party. Parties are dead. It doesn't matter. We have to wait for it all to fall down. And then people of action, people of resolve, and people with ideology will have to step in and make things happen. If you bring that to me, Evan, maybe I can get it. Perhaps I can't. That's no guarantees.
I've tried.
No guarantee. No guarantee.
I only get the.
I always struggle with this too.
They work sometimes and then they don't.
Well, you got to get it from the correct end and not mess it up. And these are pretty boogered up.
I get another container.
Yeah, I don't have my bifocals, so I can't. I'll never get it, babe. You'll just have to cut it open.
Oh, you know,
Hornblower, the Hornblower novels will be good too. Yeah. Yeah, just anything you want, get it in hard copy. Go buy Great Books of the Western World, a set of the Great Books of the Western World. Go to CasteliaHouse.com. Go get Collier's Junior Classics. Just anything that you like and is important to you, just get a hard copy of it, or 2 or 3 of them. Maintain a library. Your kids and your grandkids are going to need it. Your kids and grandkids are going to need that library. Probably Mark Twain.
Shakespeare.
Riley Evans says Shakespeare.
Public schools don't do Shakespeare anymore.
They don't do Shakespeare. Yeah, get Aquinas. Charles Oman histories, and Spengler. I don't know. Are you strong enough?
Yes, but I don't want to get it all over the table.
Plato says a failure in democracy leads to the strong man. Is the game just going to make sure you're a strong man? Going to be making sure your strong man wins? I don't know.
Too short.
I don't know what the game is.
Also didn't make the hole big enough. Cut me a bigger hole.
I think the hole's okay.
It's just hard as a rock too.
Right. Okay, that's enough to do what you're doing. We'll do this down here in a little bit.
Just pour this all in.
No, measure it.
That's no fun.
Glad public schools don't do Shakespeare anymore. Yeah, we want public schools to be completely ineffective. You don't want them to work at all. You want to be just mired in ineffectiveness and bureaucracy. You don't want them to work at all. It's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna get off here and help the daughter and the wife. We'll see what else is going on here and wrap it up. I think I'll probably put this out as a podcast. I don't know if people like it, but whatever. The price is right, right? All right, guys. Well, y'all have a best Independence Day possible. And what are you making? He says. We got pork butt going on over there and homemade ice cream. Getting ready to have a bunch of people out here and try to remember what independence is like. Hey, thank you, CMA. Thank you guys so much. And DM me with any questions you got or anything you want to talk about in the future. We'll get some more of these on the schedule, all right? Thank y'all.